got started into plants after we moved into our new house last year, and then we just wanted to find a decorative piece for the living room. So I tasked John to buy one plant.
One plant.
Yeah. And the first place we went to was?
We went to a nursery in Simei. Then we bought, in Chinese they call it a 铁树. So basically it's a plant that won't die lah. Yeah, then that really got me interested in the entire plant thing. So I asked my friend, are there any recommendations on where can I get my plants? Then he recommended me to one of the nursery in Seletar, and that's how this entire plant thing exploded. Yeah, so this entire plant journey has been my own personal way of pursuing my interest in plant, whereas my wife is just being supportive and just going along with this entire plant journey.
We started a blob of green because John wanted to document the growth of that one plant that we got, which was pretty expensive. So it was so expensive that I was like, okay, let's just have a whole Instagram account just for that one plant, right? And then slowly it grew into like 2, 3, 4, and then like so many plants. And after that, I think we found out there was such a big online community on Instagram about people having so many plant accounts. And that's when we made more friends and got to know more plants. Yeah.
The very first plant that we got was $280. I remember it was only a 2-leafer, and I told my friend that I'm gonna give him 1 leaf and with $140. The very first plant was a Philodendron gloriosum that we got. Yeah, I remember I was so attracted to it because of the white veinings that it had, and I straight away told my wife, this is the plant that I'm gonna get. I didn't even ask for the price, and I said, this is the plant that we're gonna get. Yeah. Then after that, when the owner told me it was $280, I wasn't expecting my wife to agree to it. But then she agreed, and technically this entire plant journey is half a responsibility because she agreed to the very first expensive plant.
We already brought it to the front to ask how much, like as if we were going to bring it home, so like no choice. And I thought we were stopping at 1. Oh yes, the first Philodendron gloriosum that we bought is still around. And we have actually made many pots of it because it has been growing so well. This is the Philodendron gloriosum that we were talking about earlier on. Yeah, so this was the first plant that we got from a nursery, and now it has multiplied a lot.
Yeah. So what really caught my attention to this plant is the veinings on the leaf itself. So at that point of time, I didn't really know what gloriosum was, but the white veins, in contrast to the very dark green foliage, really captured my attention. So that was one of the reasons why I was so intrigued by this plant. Yeah, then I fell in the rabbit hole and realized that actually there are more and more plants that I enjoy, and this is how the entire block of green started.
$280 you want to buy? It was really like that, like 2 leaves. I just realized this pot.
Oh yeah. For big healthy plants, I think the very first thing that we do is to ensure that the water and the lighting requirements are met first, before introducing fertilizer to them. I realized that if you introduce fertilizer to baby plants before they are mature and establish itself, the roots will actually die off. Hence, I think it's very important for the plant to feel secure by meeting its basic needs, water as well as light, before introducing fertilizer, which will enhance the growth. The most prized possession, I probably can't tell you because my wife will probably kill me if she knows how much is it. So it will be a secret for now. I think it's the Philodendron spiritus sancti that I got. So the Philodendron spiritus sancti is actually one of the rarest plant at the point of time. Because when I purchased it, there were probably around 5 only in the entire world, in the wild. Yeah, but there are actually more in the collector's hand than in the wild because it went through many rounds of propagations. Yeah, so actually it was my most prized possession and my entire collection. Yeah. But for the price and the cost, we shall save it for next time. If not, my wife will kill me. So this is the Philodendron spiritus sancti that I mentioned just now. So this was one of the most coveted plant in the entire aroid community at that point of time because of how rare it is. So I managed to procure this from a fellow collector in Singapore. So it has really grown and blossomed to quite a nice specimen. But then my wife still doesn't know why it's so expensive and so rare. So yeah, we shall just...
I think a lot of people resonate with me. It just looks meh, okay. They say got bunny ears, so where are the bunny ears?
Yeah, probably the plant community will hate you for saying such a thing already.
Right now it's actually quite affordable because they have tissue cultured it.
So tissue culture is basically man-made way of reproducing plants. So in the wild, they actually reproducing by producing seeds. Then the seeds will spread across the land. But in we have or rather the human technology has evolved so much that we can manually reproducing them using tissue culture.
The greatest difference between growing the plants at home versus in the plot is definitely the watering time. Yeah, so I remember before we moved to the plot, right, actually every week we spend about 2 days, and in that 2 days John will be moving the plants from the corridor to the toilet at the back of the house, and that took about 2 to 3 hours. And not only that, he would dirty the floor because of, like, you know, all the plants. So it was really quite a hassle at that point of time. And when he got busy with work, I was tasked to do it. So that was also one of my main pushing factors where I was like, okay, let's get a plot. Welcome to our plot. Okay, this is the front area of our garden. And this was designed according to how my Animal Crossing house looks like. Yeah, so we have like all these steps. I didn't want it to look so like a typical plot with just purely shelves, and I wanted it to have like a nice walk-in area with seats. And this entire ground planter, when we first moved to the plot, we were very excited to grow the plants bigger, right? Yeah, so we really wanted to like create a ground planter so that we can plant the plants inside the ground, and then like they really grew super fast and super big. So that's one way to get big plants also.
So actually one interesting story with regards to the ground planter, right? So actually when we first built it, then we enclosed it. So it had a heavy storm the next day and it flooded the entire area. Then we were so sad because all our efforts were gone to waste. All the mix, everything flew out to our neighbor's plot. Then we modified it a bit by adding some drains and some filters so that the water can pipe out.
We had to go and sweep our neighbor's plot because like all the cocoa chips floated there. It was quite embarrassing.
Some of the biggest difference that I observe in the plants is the plants, they grow healthier, and they get bigger and faster, and so on and so forth. Yeah, so I realized that when I was growing at home, it was going from one direction. The sun was only coming from one side because we live in a HDB. Then we were going along our void deck. Whereas in the plot, actually the sun is all 360. So the plants will get very good light coverage throughout the entire day. Hence their growth speed is definitely faster. They mature faster as well. So this is a Philodendron maximum. This is one of the plants that I got during my birthday, I remember. Yeah, it can grow really, really huge. Yeah. This is one of the plants that I really enjoy a lot. This is the Monstera punctulata. So interesting story is we were bidding for a similar plant during the live show, but we had a budget set that day, and then my wife didn't want me to exceed the budget at that point of time.
We agreed on a budget.
Yeah. So when the seller didn't agree to a budget and it was sold off to someone, I was so pissed and so annoyed. But thankfully, my neighbor Russell, he reached out to me and he asked if I want to share this bigger specimen that I have. So the punctulata is really a plant that I really enjoy a lot because firstly it's very rare and the fenestrations are really very crazy.
You can show the smaller version of the punctulata.
So this is how the smaller punctulata actually looks like. You can see it's totally different from the mature specimen. So the juvenile specimen, there has no fenestrations and whatsoever. Yeah, but then you see when they mature, it's totally two different plants. Yeah. So one of the distinct traits about the punctulata is actually these white silvery spots on them. Yeah. So this is one of the most prominent features of the punctulata. When I started this plant journey, the type that I collected actually are all kinds of Philodendrons, Anthuriums, Monsteras and whatnot. But after I shifted to the plot, I really started collecting more and more Monsteras. Firstly, because the Monsteras, Deliciosa specifically, they grow very big and majestic. And Monsteras, they have a certain trait where they fenestrate. Yeah, and fenestration is something very interesting to me because it really blows my mind how in the wild the plants actually give up the fenestration patterns. Yeah, so I really are intrigued by the look of the fenestrations of the Monsteras. Okay, so over here is a Monstera. So these are called the fenestrations. So you see how they have holes and as well as the gaps between the leaves. So this really caught my attention as to why nature allows the leaf itself to be like that. Yeah, so I really enjoy the fenestrations of the Monsteras. So over here we have what they call the form 6 or the lace pattern. So you can see the fenestration actually is quite crazy, where actually basically there are more holes than actually plant itself. So this is one of my favorite plant also. So this is one of my prized collection also. This is the Monstera Deliciosa aurea. So the Deliciosas are basically the larger forms of in the entire Monsteras. So in the wild, or rather along the street, you see those huge looking Monsteras. Those are Deliciosa. So this one day will become huge and big. Hopefully it will go that day lah. Yeah. So this is one of my prized collection. one of the initial struggles I had in this entire plant journey was the plant having defects. So I remember my very first plant, the Philodendron gloriosus, started having some yellow patches on the leaf itself. Then I was so affected by it and I keep Googling, reading through different forums on what are the causes and how can I remove it. But I come to learn that
you lost sleep over that yellow patch.
Yes, it was like probably like a 10 cents coin patch also. Yeah, but I come to realize that actually in the wild, in nature, the plants are also not pristine. Trees, twigs drops on the plants, they tear and whatsoever. To be honest, it's still a learning journey for me now to realize that actually they don't stay perfect all the time. But I've come to realize that I can't control nature.
I think for me, the greatest struggle was after we moved to the plot. And then I thought like everything will be automated systems and it will be just easy to just have everything around. But after that, we realized actually if you want to customize the plot to your preference and really make it homely in certain ways that you like, we actually had to put in a lot of hard work. So we had to dig. It was a lot of heavy work, manual work. John did most of it, but it was still tiring for me doing that 10%. Yeah, so from like digging for like 9 hours, bringing the wood in, tying them up, repairing things here and there all the time, laying all this gravel and like moving bricks. Yeah, he did all the manual work, but it was just very tiring. But I think the rewarding part of it is also that we can really choose what we want in the plot, how we want to do it, and there's an emotional attachment to it after all the time and hard work spent on it.
But to be honest, there are multiple times where she complained that she married a farmer and she got conned into this entire plant journey. Yeah, she got cheated into this entire plant journey. Because I will always ask her to trim this and that, and then when she's doing nothing and she's bored, I say, hey, you go take a photo of the plants lah. Yeah. Or then when she's like bored of the plot already, then I ask her, go find something to do. Yeah, so she always tell me that she gets cheated into this entire plant journey. Yeah, but I'm very thankful that she's always there supporting me lah. Yeah, and never leave me lah. Yeah.
At the start, I didn't even dare to touch the soil. I'm not very like a nature person. So when I see a caterpillar or frog, I freak out and I'll scream and everyone can hear me, but I think everyone's just used to it now. Okay, so this is the inside part of our garden. We have our giant UPI here because this is the only space that can actually fit this UPI, so the leaves are really huge.
So one of the notable features of our plot is the sunshade. So our sunshade uses 80%. Basically, it only allows 80% of the sun to pass through. So this is actually quite a fair bit of light for it to pass through. Because I quite enjoy growing Monsteras and Philodendrons. So for both species, I realized that they do well with more light than lesser light. Whereas if there are plants that, like for example the anthuriums that require lesser light, I'll just hide them under the shelf where they receive lesser light.
So after we moved to the plot, we realized that initially it was quite empty, but after the plants started growing so fast, right, we could start propagating them. Yeah, so this is like slightly like the propagation area. Yeah, so after that we had to start finding more and more space to put all our new propagations.
Actually, gardening is not my full-time job, it's really my passion and interest. To be honest, I only started this passion and interest probably 1 year back when we just got married. But nonetheless, when I started this entire plant journey, we started off at the corridor of our house. Then I remember our time to time just step out of the house, miss the plant, observe the plant, take photos of the plant. Hence, when we shifted over to the plot, then I actually spend quite a fair bit of time here after work. So whenever I'm missing, then my wife will know that I'm at the plot lah. Yeah, so every time after work, around 5+, I will head down, probably just a quick walk. Sometimes maybe as quick as 15 minutes, just do a walk around my garden, and I'll just go back home.
But because everything is automated here, like the misting, and then we can count on Mother Nature to water the plants, right? So actually, times like when we go overseas and things like that, and we can't head down to a plot for like a week or two, it's actually still okay. Yeah. Personally, watching like the change in John after he took up this new hobby, it wasn't too surprising at the start because I know he can be quite obsessive with hobbies. So this is probably not the first one where like, you know, he jumps into it, like researches on it and spends like 90% of his mind is always thinking about plants. Yeah, but I think it's really also watching how he cares for every plant so much and how precious they are. Even when I forget the names or I don't know which tiny plant is like placed around the plot, he would seem to know. Yeah, and so that's why I don't take plants from his plot, he will know. Yeah, once they go missing. Yeah, I think for me, being in this journey is really not so much about admiring all the different kinds of plants. Yeah, I think sometimes we have very different perspectives even when we are looking at the same plant, very different reactions. But for me, I think, you know, having this chance to try something new, being in the plant community, and then sometimes we go for plant events, things that I never thought I would enjoy, but because it's always like a new experience, so it has been fun for now, still enjoying it.
So since young, actually, I've been quite close to nature. Firstly, my mom also enjoyed planting. So outside our house, there's always plants and whatnot. But I also do remember the time where Eunice and I just met. We were actually in Thailand doing mission trips. Then I remember I really enjoyed doing all the groundwork. For example, like plowing the land, cleaning the weeds and whatsoever. They may seem very mundane, but I actually do enjoy like the farmer's life per se. Yeah, so hence actually when I came here, I really felt that it's something that I could experience not easily in Singapore, where we live in a urban city. Yeah, everything is we are quite far away from nature per se lah. Yeah, so I really do enjoy this small space that I have where I can be part of nature again.
Okay, this is the new expansion of a blob of green. So we initially started off with a 500 square feet plot, but we took over this area when our neighbor sized down and combined the two plots together. Yeah, it's also because John's brother decided that he wanted to grow his aquatic plants here, and we also have some fish inside now. Yeah, so it's not completed. The idea is for this entire area to be a river. Yeah, and his brother kindly allowed us to use all the excess space for all our different kind of plants. So John is super happy.
Which was quite timely because our plants were getting too big. Yeah, so we really needed the space for us to expand.
Over here, when John designed this area of the plot, he requested for a sheltered area because the Monsteras don't do well when it's too moist. Yeah, so this is his Monstera corner.
This is my favorite part of the plot. So this is the Monstera elbow. I'm sure this is one of the plants that many people have seen before. So this is really one of the first plant that got me really hooked onto the entire plant. Yeah, so this is the very first one. Over here I have the Philodendron Florida Beauty. This is quite a special pot for myself because my dad actually bought it for me when I shifted over to his plot. So this was kind of his welcome gift for me. So it's really special.
Okay, actually I have a funny story about our gardening journey here. So he grew a lot of colocaceas, and with some friends, they have a new colocacia area where we dug a few ponds for the plants. So actually we put in some guppies and fish, so I went to buy the fish. And I was so excited, right? And then after that, when we came back a few days later, we started seeing a lot of like tiny eggs floating around, and I started announcing to the whole world that, oh, my guppies have babies. I even got caught my mom and I was like, you need to come down now with a fishing net and a container so that I can scoop the babies out before like the other fish eat them. So we scooped all of them out and took them out, and then after that we realized they were
tadpoles,
which turned into like many frogs and not fish. Yeah, so I think that's one of those yeah, you can tell I'm not a very nature person, can't differentiate things very well.
So some of the tips that I can give to new plant hobbyists is don't be too hard on yourself if the plants dies or if there are blemishes on the plant. Because we may do everything right, but then nature will have its way to really destroy your confidence in growing them. So until now, I'm still having a lot of yellowing leaves. You don't see them over here because we prune them every day. Yeah, so don't be too hard on yourself and experiment on growing different types of plants and whatsoever. Yeah.